Hey everybody, welcome back to Topwater Tuesday. I'm Den Haring for Fish Den 365. Today we're going to be talking about the River2Sea Bully Wa. Okay, so let's talk a bit about this frog. This is a River2Sea Bully Wa. They also have a Bully Wa 2, which is what's available now, and it's just it's the original Bully Wa is a great design. The Bully Wa 2 is some improvements on it. One of the things they did was they sealed where the hook is so that water can't get into the frog, so it keeps the frog drier. You don't have to keep squeezing it to get all the water out. And I think they improved the keel. It was already a great keel design on the original Bully Wa, and I think they may have improved it a little bit on the Bully Wa 2. So I'm just going to refer to the frog as the Bully Wa. Whether it's the original or Bully Wa 2, I think they're both great frogs. There's really little difference between the two other than what I just mentioned. They are very soft frogs. They have really good hookup ratios, and that's one of the best things about them. Now today I think they're available in two sizes, and that is the 65 and the 55. That's, I believe, these two here. And they used to have this little guy. It might be a 45. I'm not sure, but it's really tiny. That's really a finesse frog. But it catches fish, especially when they're pressured. I mean, I've done really well with this frog in some of the Pocono Mountain lakes on days where they didn't want to hit bigger bait. And some of the fish I got on this thing were pretty big. So, you know, it's a frog. Now, the problem with it is it's difficult to cast because it's so small. You have to have a lighter rod, lighter line. But it does work and does catch fish. So this frog is one of my favorites, and you've noticed I've got these different size frogs here, and the color is the same. This is called yellowhead, and I have a lot of confidence in this color. A friend of mine got me onto this, and John Tosca, and he fishes this color almost exclusively for his frog fishing, and he catches a lot of fish on it. Him and I do differ on one thing, however. That is, he likes to leave the legs long like this. This is how it comes out of the package, and I like to cut them a little shorter. And it's just based on our own experiences. He's caught a lot of fish with this method where the legs are longer, and I've had a couple times where I was fishing with the long legs, and the bass, I actually saw them come up and do this. They actually grab the legs, and I would see this happen, and they just pull the frog under, and I couldn't hook them. So because that happened to me a few times, I like to shorten the legs so that they're more likely to get the frog when they come up and bite it. Just a personal preference. If you find that you're catching bigger and better fish with the longer legs, then don't change a thing. It's a preference type of thing. It's a confidence type of thing. One thing you can do is have one set of legs a little shorter than the other, and that just helps walk a dog a little easier. This bait does walk very easily. You could also make that nose smack the water. It's just a matter of how you work your rod tip when you're twitching this bait. This is a good frog for heavy cover, you know, throwing it in heavy pads, milfoil beds. When you have that matted surface vegetation, this frog does really well in those situations, and it catches fish very well on edges of that kind of cover as well. So it does good things in both. I like how they have the hook, as I almost hooked myself, how they have the hook arranged on the frog. It's weedless because it's right against the body, but there's a lot of gap when you press this down. There's good gap there. And so it doesn't take much for the bass to compress the frog and to get the hooks in his mouth when you go to set the hook. When I fish a frog like this, I like to use a rod that is designed for frog fishing. I use a Dobbins heavy action rod. I'm not sure of the number of the rod. I'll put it in the description of the video so you can get exactly what I'm using. It's at least a 7-foot 3-inch rod. I'm not tall, so anything bigger than that gets a little cumbersome for me to fish. Like 7.5 foot, I wouldn't want to go any more than that. I use a 7.5 foot rod sometimes for flipping, but my frog rod I think is like 7'3", and it's meant for frog fishing. It's a heavy action rod. I like to have a pretty high speed gear ratio reel, but you also need to have a reel that has some power to it so you can winch them out of that heavy cover. One of the reels that I like for this kind of fishing is the Abu Garcia reels. The one they have, the one that I like, I use for toad fishing as well, and it works good for this, and that is the Revo Rocket. Another really good reel, but it costs a lot of money, is the Shimano Metanium. I just happened to get lucky and inherited one from my dad, and it's a great, really smooth reel. It's like a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio, something like that. So it's got plenty of speed, but it's got some good power, and you can cast a bait like this a country mile with that particular reel. I use braided line generally when I'm fishing heavy cover with frogs. Probably 80% of the time I'm fishing, 90% of the time I'm fishing, I just use straight braid right to the frog. 50-pound test. I use a marker to color the line dark green or black. I want the line to be dark colored. Sometimes you can get line that's dark colored, but sometimes as it gets worn, that color wears off and it gets lighter. I like a high visibility line. I like to have a yellow colored braid so that I can see the line. Even though when I'm frog fishing, I really don't need to do that, because I don't need to see the line. I can see the frog. But if I use that line for other applications that I'm using that same rod and reel for. So what I'll do is I'll just color the first 20 feet of that line, first 14 to 20 feet of that line, real dark green or black with a marker. You get a thick marker, you put a little knife, you cut into the marker felt with a little knife, and you can put the line right between where that cutout is, and then just run that marker down your line, and you color your line very easily and very quickly. These are all frog fishing tips that'll help you be more efficient in your frog fishing and help you catch more fish as well. When you get one of these fish that comes up and grabs the bait, you set the hook. You got to set the hook hard, because you got to move these hooks. They're pretty thick. You got to move them through whatever's there and into the fish's mouth. I like to use it. This is why you need a heavy action rod for this kind of situation, so that you can get that fish moving. The most important thing is the first few seconds of that hook set and you starting to reel right away to bring that fish up, because if he gets down into those pads or down into that grass, it's a much more difficult thing to get that fish back to the boat. And sometimes they'll get the bait into the pad stems or grass stems and they'll wedge off, and you're left with a big mess of salad and no fish. So very important to get that fish up on top and to the boat as soon as possible. And to do that, you need heavy gear to do that effectively. It's hand-to-hand combat with these fish, and it's extremely visual because it's topwater. One of my favorite ways to fish. Well, I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, give me the thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the like button. When you do, hit that bell. That'll give you a notification for when the next video's out. We got another good Topwater Tuesday coming next week, so you're not going to want to miss that. I don't think I'm going to get out fishing this week. I have a really busy week at work, and then I have obligations on the weekend. But the following week, I do intend to get out sometime around that Memorial Day time period, and should get out pretty good at that point. So we'll see. I'm hoping to get out there and get some on-the-water footage for you guys. We'll be striper fishing for sure, and doing some other things as well. Some more Topwater Tuesdays as well, each Tuesday that comes by. Remember, we're certified bassified. It's all about the art and science of fishing, especially bass fishing. And as always, may God bless your fishing endeavors.